G'day and welcome to the first of a few Android development videos for Swinburne students. As with all development and walkthrough videos, this will be, painfully lame, but just bear with it and you'll get through it. In this video, we'll just be covering the setting up of Eclipse and downloading things like the software development kit and the Android, virtual devices and things like that. So it's fairly basic setup things. So if your Eclipse environment's already working perfectly well, there's no need to watch this video. This video is oriented towards those people who are setting up on their own desktop or laptop, and so it doesn't cover the portable Eclipse kind of environment, just references it once or twice. As with other videos, this PowerPoint or this pages or keynote presentation will be available at the end for you to use. So throughout it, I'll paste in links and things like that here so that you're able to access it as a PDF later. So we'll just start off with setting up Eclipse, the basics. So Eclipse is our development environment for Android, which we've been using in the Swinburne class. And so what we begin with is just downloading or attempting to download the Eclipse environment. So it's an open source and available resource. If you go to eclipse.org or do a simple search for it, you'll find it pretty quickly. We'll just hit up download straight away, and just all we want at the moment is Eclipse Classic, and grab the Windows 32 or 64-bit edition depending upon what you have on your computer, what edition of Windows you have. It's also available for Linux and OS X, and works fairly well, and the setup process is fairly similar. If you are wanting the portable version, which you can grab in one go, it can be found under the Mobile Apps Week 4 topic and at this address. It's also in my public, which I'll paste into that PowerPoint, but it also can be found on the public Dropbox. So if you're able to log into Blackboard, you'll be able to grab this and download it straight from there, which is pretty handy. Okay, so you've clicked download, you'll get it as a zip file. It's not an installer, I don't believe, on any system, and so you'll download it to your C drive or to your computer, and I suggest just extracting it. You'll get a file like this, 84, 64, whatever. And you can extract it into the base folder as Eclipse, and then I've got a folder within a folder, so I'm just going to drop that out onto my C drive. You might want to put it into your program files or something else. I'm on a virtual machine, so I don't really care. I'm just going to use it for these demonstrations. So I've just made a shortcut there, but I'll just leave it as a as a folder in my C drive. I've also created two other folders, Android Workspace and Android SDK Windows, and these folders will contain our workspace, which is all the files we create when we're building Android applications, and the SDK-Windows is where the software development kit that Google provides us will live, and Eclipse will reference it there. Okay, so it's pretty crazy. So now we'll jump over to the Google Android website. So that's at developer.android.com, and I think you can probably just search for Android developer and get here pretty quickly. And we're starting with the first of the develop tools and the initial one. So the first thing that you'll need to do is download the SDK. So click that link and download it, and then extract it to your C drive. So extract it here, and it should look something like this when you're done with the AVD and SDK manager in that folder. You don't have to run them yet. We'll just run them through Eclipse just for the sake of ease, and because the process is quite short anyway. So if you click on installing the SDK, we'll go through to this link, and you'll see that there's different instructions. Take your time reading through them, but for the sake of this tutorial, we'll just skip through. That you can this is the Android SDK manager, which allows you to download additional Android editions, so that you can test with multiple Android releases. So you'll need to download those, and we'll run it from Eclipse later on. So this is the line that I want you to copy. This is installing the Android development plugin into Eclipse. So if you can copy this, and now we're going to open up Eclipse on our C drive. So open up the Eclipse folder. We're opening up eclipse.exe, and after a bit of delay, it should eventually open. What this is going to do is we're going to install the Android development tools as part of Eclipse, and so it allows us to develop Android applications in kind of a what you see is what you get type environment, which is pretty handy. So after Eclipse launches, it will ask you to choose your workspace folder, and I suggest that you don't click use this as the default, so that if you decide to do a reset, you can just create a new folder and go from there. Now I've got my folder on C drive just under Android workspace, so I'll select that and press OK, and OK again, and Eclipse will continue to load. You'll normally get an Eclipse splash screen on your page, but I think it's opened up in my other window, which is why you can't see it at the moment. Okay, so we've copied this. I'll just put this in the presentation while we're waiting. And Eclipse is open. There seems to be a package in there that I'm just going to delete, so that we're starting with a clean slate. You probably won't have to do that. However, this is a clean install of Eclipse. I haven't installed anything yet. I just must have had something in my workspace already. So if we're going into help and then we're clicking on install new software, this allows us to install the Android development tools, and we're pasting in that link, which is https google.com Android Eclipse, clicking add, and we'll just call it ADT, Android Development Tools, and it's just searching for them. So when this pops up, what we'll click on are the development tools themselves, and then we'll click to install them. So we've selected the development tools. You don't need to grab the NDK plugins, however you can if you'd like. Accept all the license agreements. Google now owns your soul. And you'll just have to wait for this to install. It shouldn't take too long. You should be looking at on most connections, less than 10 minutes. If it does die out, just quit Eclipse, restart, and go through the process from the beginning. And it should kind of take up where it left off, so you shouldn't have many problems there. Okay, so after you may have a pop-up during your update that just asks if, says this software may not be signed, do you want to install that anyway? Just click OK or yes. And then you'll need to restart Eclipse for the changes to take effect. Would you like to restart? Obviously the answer is yes. We do want to restart. And so Eclipse will just take its time restarting. When it restarts, it will pop up this window asking for your workspace again. And if you haven't changed, which we haven't, we can just quickly press OK. And then you'll get another, after Eclipse loads, we'll have the option of choosing where the Android SDK is located. And so remember, we installed that to C drive Android SDK. So just wherever you've installed yours, that will be the location you select. So now we'll choose Window and Preferences, and we're just going to click on Android and choose the SDK location. So mine's found it because it was in it's got a very similar relative path and it just has a quick check. But you might have to click Browse, click on Android SDK Windows, so the root folder, and press OK and apply. And you should be good. So you'll notice now these buttons are here before, which are the SDK Manager and the Virtual Device Manager. We use the SDK Manager to make sure our SDK is updated and download more options, so you can see the different tools that are already been installed and the ones that are not installed. Okay. If you want to download all of these possible things, it can be quite large, in 20 gig or more. So you can pick carefully what you install and what you don't. I suggest obviously the Android support library, and if you want to run on your own device, the Google USB driver, you can grab any of these other ones as well though, and it's probably not a bad idea to just keep kind of whenever, maybe when you go to bed at night, grabbing another, selecting some more packages and clicking install, so they update overnight. These are the base ones you need though: Android 4.1.2, which is API 16, and the Android software development kit tools, so the Android SDK tools. If you haven't got those, just click the little check marks and click install, packages, and go from there. I don't have these Intel system image and MIPS system image installed, but it should be alright at the moment. I'm just going to close out that. This thing is your Android Virtual Device Manager, and so you set up Android virtual devices, which are Android testing environments, and you can choose your version. You give it a name, whatever you'd like, and choose your version. And so we've downloaded Android 4.1.2, which is API level 16. And so we've got a few options there, but if you downloaded more of the versions, you'd have many more options. And once you've created that, you can click, I've already got one called tester again. Then you can create that AVD and it will create the appropriate files. Now, because I'm working on a virtual machine, I get some strange errors here, which I'll go and fix, but you won't have to. But just for now, I'll just create it and close. Finally, to create a new Android application, we click up here in the top corner and we do Android Application Project, and this runs a wizard for us, which makes it nice and easy. So we'll just create our first project, which will be Paper, Scissors, Rock. And this is our first project. So every project starts with a package, and if you're developing for the Android marketplace, you'd use a unique package name here, so that when you released it, it was able to be installed by other people. When you're developing just as a test project, we just about always use com example and then our name. This allows you to create a nice little icon for your application, and you can customize some things here. And this allows you to create an activity and what type of navigation it has. So you can see that there's differences here. We'll use these more later on in our projects. This is the main activity of your application, so it's like your default starting activity, and so we'll just leave that as main activity for now and click finish. If this works and you create a Android application without errors, any errors on the page, then you're good to go. I may have some because of my virtual, the type of environment I'm setting up this in, which I'll need to fix, but you shouldn't, if you've set up just on a computer, you shouldn't have any. If you set up on a non-virtual machine, you should be completely fine. Finally, just click run, and your Android application will want to run as it will ask you what you'd like to run it as. You select Android application, and it will launch in the virtual device. That's it for video 1, and join in next video when we go on from here to create some buttons and have them do some cool things.